Hi everyone, it's KB from KB Sports Media, and we are here with Convos with KB, and I have a special guest with me today, Ms. Dani Wright. How are you?
I'm wonderful. How are you?
I am good. Thank you so much for asking. So why don't you let everyone know your role with the HBCU AC, what do you do, and just a little bit about yourself.
So, again, my name is Dani Wright. I am the Director of Strategic Communications for the HBCU AC. And that means I handle pretty much all of our external relations, if that makes sense. So communicating with the public and the media, developing strategies and tactics and campaigns for our social media, our website, and our broadcast. So we have a media rights partner, and I work directly with them to make sure that our championships are broadcast, and then helping our schools ensure that their games get broadcast as well. So that's it in a nutshell.
It sounds like a lot.
It's more involved than that, but I just think of me as the communications person. Like I'm
okay.
Overseeing us getting the word out about our conference.
I think a lot of people can wrap their minds around communication. Yes. So I know something important to you is broadcasting and representation.
Yes,
and
absolutely.
As someone who's been in DEI, I know the importance of representation. But why is this so important to you to have representation in media broadcasting or just communication as a whole?
Yeah. So when I first got into athletics, I thought I was going to be an athletic trainer. And then I got like a C in science and decided, you know what, this is probably I need to go in a different direction.
Right.
And there was an opportunity when I was in college to volunteer. And I walked into the sports information director's office. Well, I reached out to her first and said, hey, I need to do volunteer hours and I know nothing about sports information. Can I come volunteer with you? And shout out to Patricia Porter Mayfield. She gave me my first shot in sports information.
And what school is she with?
She was at Hampton University.
Okay, so shout out to Hampton.
The real HU.
That's up for debate. I know nothing about that. I went to Georgia State.
And so it was so funny because I knew no other way than to be like, my parents always used to tell me that like I need to go be with the kids because I would be with the adults, right? And so part of me was always more mature and more business minded. And my parents always used to tell me, you show up for the job you want, not the one you had.
Remember that, kids.
You show up for the job you want, not the one you had. And so even though it was for a volunteer position, she told me to come in and meet with her. So I'm like, oh, this is an interview. I thought. So I had my resume in a little manila folder.
We did that back in the day, kiddies. You don't have to do that now. I don't think
it's
so.
Different. So and then I had one suit.
The power suit is what you had. What color was your power suit?
Blue.
Okay.
Blue power suit, and I had these little blue, like Hillary Clinton kitten heels.
No, you know those heels, those tiny little heels,
little itty bitty pumps. But they were square. They weren't the little. So I put on my suit with my heels, and I had on a white shirt underneath it, and I went in to meet with her for my interview for this volunteer position. The position only needed to be 10 hours of volunteer work.
Total?
Oh. I'm extra.
Right. No, but you showed up for the job. What was it? The
job that I wanted, not the one that I had, which was nothing.
Which is what your parents taught you. So you did the right thing, right?
I did the right thing. And I never left.
Wow.
I never left. I was with her all 4 years. And even when I started doing some work as a equipment manager for the football team, I was still involved with sports information, and that position led me to doing internships with I got talked about because I did an internship with our rival school, Norfolk State.
That's a no-no.
It's a no-no. But it was for a good purpose because I was in charge of doing stats for football, which is what I really wanted to get into. And after that, I interned with the CIAA my senior year of college, and that was an incredible experience. And I really got to learn. That's where I really learned how to do credentialing for media and reaching out to media and pitching to them and learning the beginnings of how to do some storytelling specifically for media outlets.
Right.
And I just never left. I was a writer, so when I went to college, I started off as a double major, English and sport management.
Sounds like a journalist in the making.
Yes. Now, the crazy thing about Hampton is they had a journalism school, but I did not want to do that.
Oh, okay.
I felt like I just wanted to create my own whatever it was that I wanted to do, and I didn't want to be boxed in to being known as a journalist or a reporter because I did not want to be a reporter. I had no desire to be a reporter. And you know this about me. I still have no real desire to be on camera.
Right. So it's either on camera or writing, but she's here on camera.
Here I am.
I've had to convince her a few times. So.
But here we are. And so I enjoyed learning how to set things up and be behind the scenes. I wanted to give people what they needed to look good and to tell their own stories. And as things have progressed, I got really burned out and I left athletics for close to 8 years. And then one day, I get an inbox from Kiki Baker-Barnes. Now, I've known her for years. You know, we had been connected virtually and then through mutual colleagues, so I knew her. And it's funny, she reached out to one of my friends, and my friend said my name, and Dr. Barnes was like, "That's the one." And she inboxed me that day and said, "Hey, do you have time to chat?" Yeah, of course. This is Kiki Baker-Barnes. Yeah, of course I have time to chat. Now, I have my own business in communications and branding. I help entrepreneurs and small organizations and churches develop their strategic plan, right? So helping you build a foundation to build your brand. That's my bread and butter. It's behind the scenes. I'm also directing them on how to broadcast, right? Here's the content that you need to record. Here's your list of shows for the next year or 6 months or however long you need it. Follow this plan. Do it X number of times every day or every week or whatever the plan is, right? Here you go. Go do it.
Right. And they don't always do it, but you gave them a plan.
But they have the plan.
Right.
And they have the strategies. They have what I would do if I were running it for them. Right. And it works. It works. I thought Dr. Barnes, I knew she had her own business. She has her own nonprofit. I knew her as a speaker. Right? I thought she was calling me to work for her, do some
stuff for her, right?
Or, do some consulting with her on her business and things like that. And like 10 minutes into the conversation, she was like, "So if you want the job, it's yours." And I was like, "Oh." I said, "Wait, the job?" Yeah. And I said, "Oh yeah." I said, "Well, do I have to move?" And she's like, "Oh no, this is remote."
Convenient.
And I was like, "Oh." And for me, it started off as part-time, but I knew right then that if I didn't take that job, this is a once in a lifetime position, right? You don't get Kiki Baker-Barnes calling you personally to come work for her. And when it does happen,
you seize the moment.
You seize the moment, absolutely. And it brought me back to dressing for the job that I wanted and not the one I had, right?
What your parents taught you all those years ago.
All along. Yeah. Because dressing up doesn't mean always your attire, right? Mm-hmm. Dressing for the job that you want means how you present yourself.
Absolutely.
The relationships that you have, the people that you know, but the people that know you. And because people knew me, they said my name in spaces when I was not there.
Sponsorship.
Yes.
The difference in mentoring and sponsorship. Yes. I'm glad you said that. Because some people don't know the difference in someone talking about you when you're not in the room.
And what they say about you.
And what they say. Because it could be good or bad. Either part. Or, yes.
And so I took the job. And I said, I don't know what I have to do. But then the conversation was around immediately realizing that this was something that I needed to take on.
Right.
And when I started, she said, you have 2 things that I need you to take on and do great with. Well, 3. She said, I have 2. Really 3, but really 2.
2 is like you have to have now.
So the first thing was, she said, we have a media rights partner, and I just need you to run that platform.
I just need to take over.
And I said, what do I have to do? Figure it out.
Enough said.
Will do. Absolutely will do. The other thing was rebranding our website, like getting a new website done. And then the third thing was, oh my gosh, what was the third thing? It was the website.
Social media, maybe?
It was our rebrand.
Okay, just a complete rebranding.
Mm-hmm. She said, we're in the process of rebranding. And I need you to work with the company
to help with that.
Yeah, be that project manager, that lead on that. I said, okay.
Because your name changes too, your conference name changes, and that's part of the rebranding too. Yeah. Was it logo, color scheme, all of that?
It was literally everything.
That's a lot. It's a huge overhaul.
And so I came into the conference while they had already started the process. The presidents had approved a name change.
So you basically had to take that and run with it.
Yeah. So the process had already begun. So, and it has just been thrilling. It's a lot of work, right? But when you have great leadership, it makes it so much worth it, right? And so as I've grown in this role, I began to see the need for, and I don't want this, I'm very careful because I don't ever want to sound arrogant. And I think that's a lot of why there are times when I don't do interviews. I set people up to do the interviews.
Right.
So being challenged to do this interview was like, I mean, yes, but I don't want to do it. Like, I don't want to be the one on camera. But what I realized is that it's not about me. It's not about me. We have an internship program through one of the schools that I'm working with. They've contracted me to help with their athletic communications, and the athletic director wanted to start an internship program to fill a lot of the gaps that he had in his department in marketing and social media and branding and communication.
Everything that you do.
Yes.
And
so initially it was just going to be me helping him develop the program. Here's how you need to format it. Here's the layout. You need to have a director. You need to have different pieces in place and learning objectives and this, that, and the third. And so it just turned out that I ended up being contracted to do work for them.
So you're actually contracted to not only help design it, but you're actually overseeing it now?
Yes.
Wow. that is a lot of work.
So we started the internship program 2 years ago. So the 23-24 academic year is when the internship program launched. And we launched with 3 interns. And 24-25, we are up to 6.
Wow. So you like doubling it.
Doubled it.
So this is a mentoring and an internship program, all rolled in one.
Rolled in one. Wow. And I realized that, so this is a lot of my bread and butter, right? Mm-hmm. It's still giving me the behind the scenes thing, but what it's doing is allowing me to bring in young Black women into a field, into an industry where we have inherently been marginalized.
Absolutely.
And we've never, for a very long time, and we still have this issue now, not being able to show up as our true authentic selves. And that always bothered me, because why can't I be myself and do a good job? You know? And so training them on how to do content, how to look for certain shots, but also how to speak, how to do an interview, how to conduct an interview, how do you develop the questions, how do you research aspects of a team, of a person or a player or a coach or an administrator, whoever. How do you find those stories? How do you dig them out? How do you lay it out? And then how do you execute? And so this entire year, we have worked on that. We've taught them, I've taught them how to set up a broadcast. So now, even though I'm not there this week, the school has their final baseball game tomorrow. Well, there's an intern that's going to show up, and she's got her tripod and iPad. She knows how to go into the program and start the live stream.
Because you taught her. Now, do you mind giving a shout out to the school? Is that okay? Can we give a shout out to the school?
Shout out to Southern University at New Orleans Athletics, and thank you. I really, and he doesn't like this, so I'm going to do it anyway. Shout out to AD James A. Matthews III for giving me the opportunity to be a consultant at first, but also now overseeing the internship program, where he has, single-handedly given other students opportunity, and seeing that we have the skill set to do this work. And the result has been that these interns have developed so much content that Suno Athletics at the start of the year was averaging about 25 to 35,000 views per month on Instagram. They are now averaging between 90,000 and 120,000 views per month on Instagram. And it's literally just from us working together, shooting the content, and then posting it real time. Or rather than everything being a graphic, we've done reels, and we're taking clips from baseball games and basketball games, and we're posting those as announcements for people to come to games.
Love it.
So all of the engaging content, that's not, I've shown them what to do. I've shown them this is how you do content, right? But then they get to show up as their true, authentic selves.
Right.
And the content they're producing is from their creativity, from their minds. And they come to me, Miss Dani, what do you think about doing this, that, and the third? And I'm like, why are you guys asking me for permission? Do it. And if it doesn't work, then we pivot. And I think I had to learn that for myself, is that things don't have to be perfect, right? They just need to be done.
Absolutely.
And you learn, if you get 5 views, then you figure out what's going to get you to 50. And if you get 50, you figure out, okay, how can I get 350? And as we tweak what we do, we have seen the increase. We started posting bloopers of interviews.
People love that.
And it's just like, again, they're showing up as their true authentic selves. And these are young ladies. One is a nursing major. One is a nursing major. She's in the nursing program at Suno. Another is applying for the nursing program at Suno. One is an early education major. early childhood development or education at SUNO. The other one is doing forensic science. Another one is doing, what is her major? It's like biology and something else, like cybersecurity or something like that.
Very
right?
different than this.
The only person, we have two other interns. One just graduated from Kent State University in Ohio, and he was a sports journalism major. The other one is at Wiley University, and she is a broadcast journalism major.
But the others are not related to?
The ones that are on site at SUNO, at the school, because SUNO doesn't have communications.
So they're able to still get their hands-on experience to what you're. I heard a lot of what you were saying. I heard the ROI program, because as someone who's also put together mentoring programs, the main thing we always ask is what's the ROI for the company?
Yes.
Because the company wants to know whether it's time, money, whatever, we're investing in this, how can we get it back?
Exactly.
And for you to say, hey, we can show impressions, we can show all these different analytics to show it's working, but not only can we show the analytics of that, we can show that these students actually know how to do it. That's what I heard, which is really great. Another thing that I heard is, like you talked about earlier, representation.
Yes.
But not just representation in the fact of their gender and race, but also diversity in their programming, which a lot of people don't think about diversity in education. They're going to use this no matter what.
No matter what.
It doesn't. You have to be able to create content, social media, broadcasting, whatever it is, in every single field you're in. So what I'm hearing is that I want to teach people to use a skill that it really doesn't matter what they're studying. They can use this in their life. That's what I heard when I heard you explain that.
And that is the purpose of that internship program. And if you listen to AD Matthews talk, he literally talks about that.
Really?
About giving opportunities to students who otherwise would not have it, right? If we didn't have this internship program, where would they go? They would be creating their own TikToks.
And they're doing it anyway.
And they're doing it anyway, right? But now they get to do it, and now people recognize them as SUNO's media team.
Which is great. So again, it helps them even outside of that. So my final question to you is, what do you say to those people that say, you're just focusing on women or women of color?
So?
What about other people?
So
Okay.
So what?
And how do you respond when people think that it's, when you say so, it comes off like you don't care? What do you say to those people?
I honestly don't care that you say that, because it is what it is. We have so many things that we choose to attack, right? And let me say this, we wouldn't have, it wouldn't be an issue if we were given the opportunities.
Mm-hmm.
So you can't take opportunities from people and then get mad when they create their own. You won't give me a seat at the table, but now you're mad that I built my own table. I built my own chairs.
I love it. Absolutely.
I have taken metal and wood and dug it up from my own pain and my own struggles to create a beautiful place setting for someone else, and you're mad at that?
You must have heard these questions before. I love the passion that you have.
It gets me fired up because when I started, all of the black women that I saw in communications were doing entertainment and health and beauty PR.
You know where I started? Entertainment journalism.
I know.
That's where I started too. I did sports for a little bit and then entertainment. So you're literally speaking the truth.
But I was like, I don't care about, I have never, my best friend will tell you, she still laughs at me. Because I'm like, now who is that? And she's like, you don't know who that is?
We do that with you now, actually.
Yeah, actually.
We still do that with her. She's like, I don't know who that is. You said, what? What show? We won't give them a shout out because they're not paying us for a plug. But that one show, the interns and I were talking about, and you were like, I don't know any of those people at all.
I'm lost.
Yeah.
I'm completely lost.
Yeah.
Reality TV to me is in living color. Which is stand up.
For those that don't know. It was a great show, by the way. But I love the fact that you're saying I'm challenging what we normally see in representation.
Yes.
We put our articulate, or sometimes not even articulate, beautiful, whatever type of black women, we put them in entertainment and beauty. Yes. But we don't challenge them to do more, whether it is challenging more with your production and producing better stories, better content than we see. I think that that's something that we don't see a lot of people do, because a lot of us are satisfied with the fact that I got a great opportunity and I don't need to push myself more. But you're saying, sis, you can be more than just that pretty face on the entertainment or beauty, journalism or campaign. I love that you're doing that.
And for me, it's about, like, I want them to see the possibilities, right?
Right.
Like, I want you to be able to experience something and say, I never thought of myself in this light. I never thought of this as being something that I would be interested in. One of the young ladies was like, if I wasn't so far along, I would change my major.
That's the kind of influence you've had.
I would change my major to business so that I could do what you do. To me, having someone, and I'm gonna try not to cry. I'm a big old crybaby.
As I told someone else on camera, be yourself. You just told everyone. She just said, be your authentic self.
I'm a big old
and I'm a crybaby. My sister will tell you, I cry about everything. Every good and bad. Okay, I was in my room crying because I heard a love song. So listen, let it flow.
But intent is one thing. I have an intent to do this and do that and take care of them and give them opportunities and make sure that they're growing and make sure that they have someone that they can trust and that they can come to, right? So we took time to build our relationship first semester, right? That was the intent. Impact is always greater than intent, right? Impact is always greater than intent. This is why when people apologize, I don't want an apology with your words. I want an apology with your actions and your behavior. Because the impact of what you did is greater than what you intended. You may not have intended to hurt my feelings, but you did.
You need to say that again, because I don't think people heard you when you said the difference in impact and intent.
Yeah.
That's deep. Is that something your mama taught you?
No, it's
She was like, baby, yes I did. I taught you that.
Right. No shade, mom. No shade. But it's something that I had to learn too. Because I can be very dominating. I can be very, I want it this way. I can be like, sometimes I'm too rigid. I'm too whatever. But I'm also, on the flip side, very nurturing.
I've seen a lot of the nurturing side. She'll say, are you okay, baby? Are you good? Do you need something? I'm just like, you're just these kids' mama.
Literally.
You're the mama away from home, which I think that as a parent, when they send their kid off college, it doesn't matter how old they are, they want to make sure that somebody's there to take care of their babies when they're gone.
Yeah.
And I see you do this.
Yes. And the interns, because of our travel, they're coming with me now to our championships. That's how you met them, right? They started off just as Suno, but because of their impact, right? Their original intent was to produce and do things for Suno, and they've done that. And they excelled at that so much that the impact of their work has been seen in other spaces. So now, because of their impact, they get additional opportunities. My whole thing, and I really went into this year with a really different mindset. I had some very specific goals that I never told anybody, right? But I knew there were certain things that I knew that I wanted to accomplish for myself and to challenge myself to do more, to challenge myself to make sure that we're not gatekeeping, that we're passing the baton, but we're doing it in a way that creates greater impact down the line. I want to change the way that we do media. I want to change the way that we tell stories at our HBCUs. I want to change the way that we do communications. I want to change the way that we do community engagement, that we gain sponsors. I want to change the way that we even see ourselves. And I don't care how people see HBCUs that aren't in this framework. And I say that because people don't even understand the basics of HBCUs. And you will see that, get on Twitter for a day and watch the conversation. And people call HBCUs DEI.
You know, as somebody in DEI, I see a lot of.
You tell me why we have HBCUs. And for those of you that don't know, HBCUs exist because when we were brought to the United States of America, whenever the country was founded, we were prohibited from being educated. We were isolated, ostracized, and even killed for just wanting to learn.
Absolutely.
To learn how to read, to learn what our real names are, to be able to spell our names. So we founded HBCUs so that we could have higher education, so that we could have Black teachers and Black scientists. If it weren't for HBCUs, some of the leading inventors, some of the leading doctors and politicians would not exist. You know why? Because they were groomed, trained, and educated at HBCUs. HBCUs exist because DEI didn't exist.
No, this was way before that buzz term of DEI.
And let's be honest, you know, like, y'all can call it woke if you want, right?
But whatever term you want to use.
Whatever term it is. But what it is truth. It's truth training. And we get scared of the truth. Because once you acknowledge the truth, you have to acknowledge the behaviors that have caused this separation and this need. We're in 2025 and we're still talking about the first woman to do this and the first Black person to do that. But you don't feel that we need DEI? Make it make sense. It can't. It doesn't make sense. It's illogical. But the foundation of this country was built on illogical thinking because what was desired, the intent, was to keep us from X, Y, and Z, and to ensure their power remained. The impact of it has lasted hundreds and hundreds of years, right? So now we have people in place that are trying to take us back to that time where we had less rights, less opportunities, and that's why you're hearing all the buzzwords about woke this and DEI that, and this person is a DEI hire. But the people that have no merits, the people that don't have the level of training and experience, and I'm not trying to be overly political, but this is why we have people at the Pentagon who are using unsecured, unencrypted things to communicate and causing a ruckus because there's no understanding and you actually don't have the credentials that, and let's be fair, DEI has become a dog whistle for them for Black person or person of color. That's really, we want to get rid of DEI because we really don't think that people of color have the credentials to do this work.
That's like a 360 for you, because it comes back to, like you said, the reason why HBCUs were started. And I would just share that even being here on the team this short amount of time, I've learned a lot about HBCUs. I didn't go to a HBCU. Mm-hmm. My mother did not encourage me to go to an HBCU. That was just not something that was pushed in my household. As a matter of fact, I really didn't know much about HBCUs except for FAMU because it was right there in my backyard. So I just want to thank you for just opening my eyes to HBCUs and seeing it in a different perspective than what I grew up seeing. Of course, being in Atlanta over the last 20 years, you learn so much about it. So I just, again, want to thank you for just expanding my mind to it, to see, I mean, so many schools I've never heard of, I didn't know existed, and that was all because of you and your introduction for me. So I know that there's a lot of people, hopefully, that are willing to learn, just like I did, whether you're black, white, green, yellow, whatever, that's willing to learn about the history of HBCUs, the impact they have, the intentions of them, and how long-term they can have an effect. So any final words you want to say to our audience, whether it's about DEI, whether it's about internships or representation, anything you want to say?
I feel like this could go on for so long because I'm really passionate about it, and I don't speak about it a lot. And I know you get on me all the time about
She needs
that.
to speak.
But for me, I really want people to understand the importance of the work that is being done at our HBCUs, because the work that's being done has an impact beyond that school. And I think when you look at what our conference has done, we've changed the landscape of what it means to be an HBCU and have media rights deals, and what it means to be given an opportunity to do something, right? And you take that opportunity, you seize that opportunity, but then we've transformed it into something that only we can do, right? Because it's based on the people that are on this team. It's a special group. And I think that when you find your mojo, when you find your zone of genius, right? You have to stay in the space and surround yourself with the people who are going to bury you in the dirt so that you can grow. And I know that sounds really counterintuitive, right? If you bury me, I'm going to suffocate. But if I've planted a seed, the only way that seed can grow is if it's covered and protected, right?
Yeah.
Burying that seed is the only way that it can grow. It has to be covered, because otherwise, if it's exposed to too much light, it's going to dry up. If it's exposed to too much water, it's going to drown. And so the dirt that buries the seed helps protect it from the light, but also absorbs the water as well, so that seed is getting the right amount of nourishment.
You are full of analogies today, and I absolutely adore it. And I want to thank you so much for this candid conversation.
Yes, thank you for having
And
me.
you can see the passion exude from you.
Yes.
And hopefully this is not just the last conversation that we have, but just in general, hopefully that you'll continue to spread your voice, be that light. There's a lot of stuff that you said that I didn't even know you had a passion for, because you're just now sharing it. And I love to hear that. So again, thank you so much. Thank you again, Dani, for joining us with Convos with KB. Again, I'm KB. See you soon.